Hello and welcome to the show. Apologies before we begin because today is one of those out and about episodes, so expect some interruptions in the background. Today we're still on the whole fundraising thing, and I would like to examine some secrets, okay, well, not secrets anyway, tips and tricks that you can use from the sales world to improve your fundraising efforts. Assuming you're one of those people who is looking at starting a startup in this year and you want to get some of that fast, sexy, and attractive money to fund your enterprise. So, when trying to raise funds, the first thing I'd recommend is to stop thinking about an investor pitch and start thinking of it. Start thinking more in terms of you're making a sales presentation. Now, when you're thinking investor pitch, especially if you are Nigerian in the UK or America, there are these tropes that we see on TV and in the movies and things like that. So, investor pitch means it means being slick, talking technical jargon, looking and sounding the right way. But if you're thinking sales presentation, rather, you'll be thinking more in terms of there's a value proposition, there's a story, there's a narrative that I have to pass across today to people on the other end to make sure they understand because I'm trying to get something from them. I'm trying to achieve a certain level of buy in. So let's forget all the sexy stuff that we see on the media. Let's get out of the mindset of investor pitch and start thinking that this is just a sales presentation like any other presentation that we have done in the past. I'm assuming that you've done some sort of presentation, even if it's not in the sales or a business context. At the very least, you went to university, and at some point you had to stand before the panel, stand before your professor, to defend ideas that went into your thesis, and those sorts of things. Sorry, excuse me. So, fundraising is not just about data and looking fancy and things like that. We're also trying to sell the vision for our business, the vision about the problem that we're trying to solve with our product, with our service, with our app, with our website, with our whatever it is. So, if you're thinking about it from a sales perspective, what you're trying to do here is to connect with your audience. In this case, your audience are the potential investors. You're trying to figure out the concerns that they have because everybody has concerns when they hear about your app or your new idea about how you're going to solve the world or how you're going to raise ₦1 trillion and make billions in profits. Everybody has concerns. The thing is whether everybody is going to be upfront with you and bring out those concerns at this current meeting. So the goal at whatever stage when you're having these conversations, whether it is the pitch proper and you're sitting in front of this investor and his or her associates, or whether you're with them in the elevator, or you guys are having a chat, you're walking out of their office, or you want to go and visit them in the house. The goal is to try not just establish a connection, but to try and tease out what the concerns are, and that way you're going to be able to address them. So the sales skills that you need are, well, they're varied, but let me just tease on a few this morning. So one of them is going to be communication mastery, and let's be clear and concise with the language that we use. Because like I said, if you check what happens, you watch all those movies on Netflix, or stuff on TV, things like that, and then usually it's a young man. The young man is talking slick, trying to raise funds, and everything is on point. And so there's lots of technical jargon. Okay, well, on the jargon thing, first off, we have to realize that it is what's that word? It's relative. So if you're a doctor standing in front of doctors and you're talking about going through the subliminal ventral cava and bypassing the lunar medulla oblongata and blah blah blah. I didn't study medicine, so that's just me making stuff up. Well, the point I'm trying to make is this: if you're standing in front of a room of doctors and using a highfalutin jargon, then it's not really obtrusive language per se, because nauna. All of you are in the field, so you understand exactly what it is that you are trying to say. But that is not always the case when you're standing in front of a room with potential investors. It is not. It's not necessary that they may understand all the technical jargon that we like to throw around these days. For instance, you have lots of people trying to raise money, and they're talking about, oh, the TAM is 1 billion. So yeah, you know that TAM is total addressable market, and maybe who are in, people who are in that space. That's the kind of lingo that you throw around these days when you're trying to raise funds. But if you're talking to your rich uncle or Deaconess Akubero in your church who has lots of money, you're trying to raise investments for her. You might be impressing yourself if you go there and say, oh, that the time is 100 billion, but you might not be impressing Deaconess Akubero or your rich uncle or whoever it is. So let's not assume that everybody is in that space and everybody knows what TAM means, total addressable market, or what ICP means, ideal customer profile, or everybody knows what churn rate is or burn rate is. Churn rate, that's the number of customers that you're going to lose over time, and then burn rate, the amount of money that you have to burn in quote every week, every month, every year, or whatever until you get this thing going. So yeah, there's lots of all that sexy language there, and you want to stand up, look fly, you're there in your suit, and this is a TAM of 1 billion, and to achieve this, we have a burn rate of blah blah blah, and the ICPs, the this and that and that and that. Yeah, so it looks cool on camera and it looks cool on TV, but you might lose so excuse me, you might lose half the audience when you're standing before a panel and you want to get investment from them. Now, of course, if you're talking to seasoned investors, people in venture capital, and that sort of thing, then of course they understand. Sorry, excuse me. The sore throat is not entirely gone. So yeah, they understand all that lingo, and I guess it won't be a problem. So that's why I started off this part of the conversation by saying that it's all relative. So if you're standing before lawyers and you're talking about ratio decidendi, you don't have to explain because anybody who went to law school, whether in Nigeria, Canada, India, or whatever, knows exactly what ratio decidendi means. But if you stand in front of my mom or my dad, or you stand in front of your uncle in the village, and you're talking about ratio decidendi and stare decisis and stuff like that, you're just going to lose them. You're just talking over everybody's head. So communication mastery, let's keep things clear, let's keep things concise, avoid the jargon as much as possible, but then again, remember, jargon and technical terms are relative, so it depends on who you are standing in front of. Then we also have to think about objections, because like I said, everybody has objections. Okay, maybe I didn't. Okay, I don't think I defined objections. So let me just go ahead. So in the sales context, when you say objections, an objection is just a reason that somebody has today for not taking action on the next step now or for not taking action tomorrow. Because whenever you're trying to make a sale, you're trying to get buy-in, you're trying to convince somebody on something, people have some objections. Some people might be thinking, this idea sounds right, but this young man, this young girl standing in front of me, it's a good idea, but can she actually pull it off? Can he pull it off? That is a concern. Most people will have that concern and they'll keep it to themselves. And that's not going to help you. If you want to get the investment, you have to be able to tease out the objections from them. You have to be able to get them to the point where they say, young man, young girl, this idea sounds laudable and I think it can make $1 billion naira. But I don't think you have the balls to pull this off, or I don't think you have the know-how to pull this off. So you need to be able to get somebody to that point where they're able to say what the objection is. There are some people who will think, I'm not convinced, this is not a good idea. You need to be able to know and tease out the objection from those people during the current meeting that you're having right now. So, so you need to be able to tease out the reasons that people have for not moving forward now. Let's see what else. Okay, so those are objections. You need to be able to anticipate what their concerns are and then address them head on. Because if people have concerns and you haven't addressed it, then you're not going to get that money. So if people think that, yes, this is $1 billion or $1 billion naira idea, but they think that you, Davishima, or you, Kelechi, or you, Alice, or you, Eunice, you don't have what it takes to pull it off, you're not getting that money. You have to be able to tease out the concerns, and those are things that you're going to be able to get with sales training, or if you start paying attention to the art of sales. Then, in the pitch or in the process of talking about people, sorry, not talking about, talking with possible investors, I have to realize that we have to build trust also to be able to get buy-in, also to get the investment. And trust is something that is built brick by brick. It's built, small, step by step. You move things forward today, you move things forward tomorrow, you move things forward next tomorrow. So that whole thing that you see on the movies and in TV and Netflix series and stuff, where you show up, correct suit, your hair slick, shoes looking on point, and then you start talking about time, churn rates, this, that, that whole sexy spiel. That whole thing of showing up and then just wowing everybody, getting everybody's trust one sitting, that's not how it works. In fact, even Dragon's Den, if you listen to podcasts about Dragon's Den and people that were interviewed, apparently what we watch on Dragon's Den is just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But there's some of those people that the grilling and the conversations took place over 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. But then for the purpose of TV, it's condensed into a 5 minute thing, a 10 minute thing, and it gives some of you the impression that it's possible for you to walk into a room, stand in front of 5 people that you've never met before, and then in 10 minutes you're walking away and each of them has given you like 500K each, because you just wowed them and all that. So some of that is just for the cameras, it's just for the TV. So there's a podcast, I think it's called I think it's called Behind the Tank or something like that. So it's for people that have been interviewed on Shark Tank. So Shark Tank is sort of like the American version of Dragon's Den. That's for those of you who watch BBC. You don't watch American TV. So on BBC, it's Dragon's Den. You're there. You're facing the investment panel. You're trying to get money for your business at a certain valuation. So they're only showing you 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But in reality, that's a conversation that may have stressed as much as 3 hours, 4 hours, at least on Shark Tank. And I've heard of a couple of people who their own session lasted 4 hours. You talk for an hour and then people stop. You go and take a break and then you come back, you continue again. So it looks all nice, neat, sexy on TV, but real life, it's a little more messy. It's more brick by brick. It's more small, building the trust. So you have to be able to build rapport with these people, have a genuine connection in them, because people aren't going to drop money unless they trust you. And you have to build up the trust. But I guess the overall advice, or should I say advice, change in framework or change in perspective that I'd like to put forward today for those of us who've been watching all those sexy TV shows and we think we can just go there and wow people, just dazzle them and collect their money. Let's remember that when you're looking for investors, investors are going to end up being your partners. They're not just going to be a means to an end. So it's not just, collect 1M from this guy and, move on to sexier, greater, and better things. Once you secure investment, once you collect 1M from somebody, 500K, 20K, whatever, start thinking of this person as a partner and a stakeholder. And try to leverage your sales skills you're trying to inspire them to join you on a journey. So it's not that it's a necessary evil dealing with investors, go collect money and then go on to greater and better things, but try and inspire them to be on the journey with you. In fact, that's the chief benefit that you're going to get if you start looking at things from a sales perspective, because from a sales perspective, we try to craft our presentations, our pitches, whatever it is you want to call it, around the customer's perspective. In this case, the customer is the investor. Well, in a certain case, of course, your ultimate customer is the person whose business problem you're trying to solve. But in this case, you're trying to collect 1M from someone. You're trying to beg your auntie for 200K. So in this case, the investor, your rich auntie, that is the customer. So we should be crafting the presentations around their perspective. We're trying to see how, if my business, my app, my website, my whatever idea, if these things work, then this is how it's going to translate into your own benefit. This is the financial benefit you're going to get out of it by investing with me, or this is the psychological benefit that you're going to get out of investing with me. And yes, there are some people who invest for psychological reasons. For those of you who've had to raise money from maybe a church committee or something, that's part of it. They're doing charity or they're trying to help young people out. It's not necessarily because, they think that if they invest in this your thing, that is going to give them huge benefit at the end of the day. So yeah, this is the benefit, whether physical or whether financial or whether psychological. So that's it for today, folks. So remember to connect with me on WhatsApp. The number is 080-6466-2140. The country code is plus 234. And I'd love for you guys to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the socials where I spend most of my time. I'm on other socials, but if you want a a quick response, connect with me today, send me a question today, and you want a response within a couple of hours, then LinkedIn is the place. Um, my name is Tavish Maayide. I'm the host of the show. Don't worry about the spelling of my name because you can. Sorry, excuse me. This sore throat. Yeah, so you can. Where was I? Yeah, so don't worry about the spelling of my name. I know it sounds strange, but you can get it from the link where you're currently listening to this episode. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording. And don't worry, the sore throat will definitely be over soon. And I'll try to avoid my children coughing in my face, at least while the Hamatan lasts. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.